On Lena Land, a YouTube channel of for about poetry and stories, we see where words can take us. It's a journey through layers of meaning, rabbit holes of emotion, anthills of thoughts, all couched in words. It's only words. Words are all you need.
Some days. Actually, this poem is called Some Days, but before we dive into it, I want to share a couple of things with you. I have this fabulous team that works with me. Putting together these videos is not a simple job. And a couple of days ago, they were trying to figure out. What are they called? Thumbnails for my videos. And one of the kids comes up to someone fairly senior in the team, and she says, "Ma'am, smiley nahi karti hai." So here I am smiling. I'm only smiling because hopefully she'll get a still from one of these silly images when I'm grimacing like a moron into the camera, and maybe they'll find a thumbnail to use on this video. So some days I'm smiling for no reason at all. And the other reason I'm doing Some Days today is because a few people reached out to me and said something that really made me happy. They said, and it's strange that so many people use the same word, 3 or 4 of them. They said, Lena Land is so wholesome, and some days that's enough. It's enough that you reached out to someone and made them feel a little better about the world in general. So that's why really Some Days is this. It's one of those poems that it belongs in Wild Things, because Wild Things is, like I said. It's tough, it's honest, it's in your face. That's what Wild Things is all about. But even then, Some Days fits into it. And I'll tell you why. So poem number 55, Some Days. I know it's a polluted world, and particulate matter is clogging up the arteries and choking the lungs of the planet. I know it's a polluted world, and particulate matter is clogging up the arteries and choking the lungs of the planet, but some days feel clean. Like you're on top of a bare, bleak rock face of a mountain, and the wind is sharp and the sun is bright, and the cold cuts through you like a skilled surgeon's blade, incisively. Some days feel clear, like gazing into the lucid waters of a tranquil lake and seeing your reflection dimple back at you, dancing lightly at the edges. Some days feel clear like that. Liquid, not glassy. Usually I know smog is a fact, but on some days, like today, I don't know smog at all. I know mountain tops and lake bottoms and sounds of green, soft, whispery sounds of green. As I sit inside concrete, I live in the sky. On some days, I am free and I have hope for the world. That is why I wanted to share Some Days with you. Far too often we are bombarded with images of traffic jams. Far too often we are exposed to these situations on a daily basis, right? And smog has become a fact of our lives, especially in the country that I live in. It's an inarguable, inescapable fact of my life and the life of my fellow countrymen. But one day it'll end. It will get better. We will figure a way ahead. I don't know how many of you have read Charles Dickens, because I don't know how many people read Dickens anymore. But Dickensian London used to be like that, no? Smoggy and black and dark and terrifying. But it's not like that anymore. The skies over London have cleared up. And that's the beauty of being human. We are able to change, we are able to evolve. We are able to find solutions. Yes, we do dig ourselves into holes all the time. And as far as smog is concerned, we have right now created a bit of a mess for ourselves. But on some days like today, I am reminded that there is hope. And now let's talk about what smog really stands for, because there is literal physical smog, and then there is the smog in poetry. So what is this poetic smog, and why are we talking about it on some days? I was going to put the book down like this, which is a cardinal sin, never do it. You want to shut a book, shut it down like this. Okay, so what is this metaphorical smog that we speak of? I'd love to hear from all of you, of course, but for me, smog has always been this state of my mind where things are not clear, where there's too much confusion, too much contradiction, too much noise, too much conversation, and it's not always good to have such a clouded mind, such a smoggy mind. So how do you escape from that? I'm not one to talk of meditation and techniques of that sort, because that's not my job, that's not my role. But I do know for a fact that in the middle of this time inside my own head, I very often find clarity. And it's this clarity that I live for. And some days, when the mind is absolutely clear, those are the days that my life feels most wonderful. It feels brilliant because you're looking at things clearly, you're seeing things clearly. There is clarity. And one of the things that I want to read out once again for you is this very beautiful image because I find it beautiful, of course. Some days feel clear like gazing into the lucid waters of a tranquil lake and seeing your reflection dimple back at you, dancing slightly at the edges. Hold on to that. Hold on to that moment when you're at the edge of a lake and the lake is tranquil, and that lake, of course, is a calm mind, because that's how poetry works. It works at various levels. So calm mind, calm life, standing at the edge of that, and you're looking into that calmness and you're seeing yourself reflected back at you. And because you're uniquely human, you're never ever going to be completely calm. There's always going to be a slight breeze somewhere inside that mind of yours. So your reflection is going to dimple back at you, dancing slightly at the edges. I don't know why I love this mental image so much, but I do. I think it's brilliant. I love it. I know this is something I tell my children, I tell the people that I work with, that when you write, you should love what you've finally written. That's when you do your best work. What I've always believed, always taught the kids. So when I say I love what this says, I mean it. I love it. I love what this visual throws up in front of my eyes, and hopefully in front of your eyes. And I hope that on some days you're able to stand at the edge of a tranquil lake and see yourself reflected back at you. Some days are magic. See you around.
Hey there, people, if you've enjoyed this word work, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, you are always welcome on Leena Land.